Okay, guys, this is just exposure about the risks. If you can recall clause 4 on context, clause 4 requires us to determine the processes required for operation of the QMS and also determine the risks and opportunities associated with these processes. We are required to do it. So every time you have a process, you must come up with risks and opportunity. So what is risk? Risk is can be something positive or can be something negative. But these are deviations from the expected. You know what you expect, and you should be able to figure out if there is any positive or negative deviation from the expectation. So if you are addressing risks, that means you are pursuing a new opportunity. A risk is anything that can affect your ability to achieve your organization objectives. Okay, so risks must be addressed because they can affect our objective. Our objective is our KPI. We must achieve our objective. A risk cannot be in the way. So there are many ways to identify risks. What we learn in our course is going to be plan, do, check, action, PDCA, risk workshop and interviews. Well, some companies do this. Brainstorming, that I suspect many of you already know how to do it. It's just brainstorm. Cause and effect diagram is something we can learn as a tool of the quality in this course. Nominal group technique, I'm not familiar. Delphi technique, you can read about this. Hazard analysis and critical control points. Hazard is something that we as food technologists should be familiar with. Okay. Root cause analysis, yes, we can cover that, but not necessary. Cost benefit, well, some companies do that. So when evaluating risks, it is helpful to use two metrics or two parameters. Number one is called severity. If the risk occurs, you should be able to tell whether it is very serious, absolutely very, very serious, or it's very, very mild. Number two is probability. What are the probability of the risk occurring? Yeah. So these two metrics for us to evaluate the risk. This is what we find in the internet, risk assessment metrics, where they use severity versus probability. So example, you see the number one here is catastrophic. That means it is very, very bad. Mission failure or death. Oh man, we don't want this to happen. And then on this metrics, they have probability or expected frequency, how often that can happen. If you have a combination of severity here, 1 versus frequency is going to be very, very frequent or continuous, regular. So the result will be EH, which is extremely high risk. So that is very bad. But if the probability is H, I mean seldom, they put there as H, it is still high risk. But if it is unlikely, they put there as medium risk. So on and so forth. So you see the L down there, this is just very, very low risk. That means likely in this particular case, likely to happen, but the severity is very little or negligible or no impact. So it's not really a big deal in terms of risk management. So they put there L. So from here you know that whatever fall in the category of extremely high risk must be dealt with very, very seriously. You have to consider. So by doing this risk analysis, you are aware of your process more than before. All right, for us, we are more keen on this rating scale or scheme for risk. We compare severity and likelihood. We can start from number 1, which is no potential for harm, to number 5, which can cause death to the employee, or business closure. Wow, employee for us, business closure for the owners. And then we compare with the likelihood, 1 for very unlikely to 5 very likely. So you determine the risks and opportunities that need to be addressed. That means just the one that you determine to be most significant. And then you see whatever risks that you determine, typically quantitative. Opportunities will always be described subjectively or qualitatively. Risks you can quantify, but opportunities are often subjective and qualitative. So we can try. We can construct a complete risk metric for processed food of your choice. In this case, I use canned sardine together with the action you plan to take. Yeah. So the risks identified during the processing of this canned sardine is inadequate thermal processing. This is for the retort process. The effect on organization: rejected whole batch, or lost money, or serious food poisoning to consumers, or you can be brought to court, or you can have negative marketing for your company. Actually, there is another lecture on this called quality cost, where you can discuss all this negative impact on your organization. So the analysis is on severity. You give 5, yeah, remember, 1 no harm until 5 is death to employee. So this is a very, very severe possibility for inadequate thermal processing. You learn this in thermal processing of food. And the likelihood is we consider 3, which is quite possible. You can't say it is unlikely or very unlikely, but quite possible. Okay, so there is a RPN number there. What is the meaning of risk possibility number? If I'm not mistaken, we can discuss it in the class. So 5 multiplied by 3, RPN is risk priority number. So 5 multiplied by 3, you have 15, and you make the decision that you establish that there is threshold whereby if you get RPN above 10, you consider that as the significant, and because it is significant, it needs actions. So your RPN for inadequate thermal processing need action. The action is thermal process validation and stringent quality check of retort process and finished product evaluation for safety. Yeah. So this is clause 6.1.2. What are the actions to address risks and opportunities? You need to plan action to address risks and opportunities. It can be simple, it can be elaborate, it can be long term, short term, it can be costly, it can be cheap, up to your discretion. But this requirement must be fulfilled in the quality management system. A, there are plans. What will happen, who will do it, when it must be done, what resources are needed, what are the objectives. It's like the quality objective we did before. They are integrated into the QMS processes, so all the control of the QMS will be applied to the actions. If they are maintained as documented information, then document control of QMS will apply. Or if measuring instruments are used, then calibration or maintenance requirement most likely apply, etc. And they must be proportional. The most significant risks will be matched with the most significant actions. This is for risks. But for opportunities, opportunities for improvement, for maybe getting better return on investment, for opportunities with bigger paycheck, you will be matched with robust plans. Okay, finally you have to check for effectiveness. Once actions are implemented, you must follow up to see if the objectives are achieved. Because you know the risks, you take the actions. Whatever action you take, you must check to make sure that the action solve the problems or the risks. So you need to be as objective as possible when evaluating effectiveness. Alright, so I think that is sufficient for now, because all we need to do is to get you exposed on the risks and opportunity, because this is new things for quality management system. It was never mentioned in the previous 2008 version. For 2015, you have to do risk and opportunity analysis, and believe me, it is very good for the company, for your organization, because it gives assurance. It's a kind of quality assurance that your QMS achieved the intended results. And by studying the risks and opportunities, it promotes improvement. I'm reading here. Identify potential problem before they occur. So it is also a system of prevention, because you haven't done anything, you haven't done the process, you are planning the process, you are already analyzing the risks and opportunity. So it is kind of prevention before it happens. So you minimize project threats, you maximize positive impact of project opportunities. You haven't done it, but you already know the risks and you already know the opportunities. So you prevent and reduce undesired effects, you enhance desirable effects. Alright guys, so take it easy, don't worry. Happy learning.